Hi, and welcome to LB0 Fox India Norwegian Ham Ventures. I'm Morten, LB0 Fox India, and I'm at my favorite PODA spot right now, but I'm not here to do a PODA. I'm here to talk about the ICOM IC-705, which I've had on loan from Christech, my favorite Norwegian ham radio dealer, for a little bit more than 2 months. So let's rewind to the end of May, where Christopher over at Christech called me and asked if I wanted to take the 705 for a spin and test it out. And I said, sure, I really want to do that, but look, man, I just bought a Flex, so I'm not going to buy the radio. And then after a little bit back and forth in a couple of weeks, this arrived by the end of June. I really looked forward to testing it before I got it because I've been skeptical about the 705. It's been one of those radios that I've always considered a little bit overpriced for a QRP radio. It has a lot of features, but then again, it's a QRP radio. It's 5 watts on the internal battery. It's 10 watts on the external battery. Can this really be a good radio? So, we're now at September 1st, and I've had this radio since the end of June. I'm going to ship it back tomorrow, and that's with a little bit of a heavy heart. I still can't afford the radio because I blew that money on the Flex, but I've really enjoyed the radio for these 2 months that I've used it. And I want to talk a little bit about why I have enjoyed the radio. This is not going to be a technical review of the radio because there's a gazillion videos out on YouTube on all the different technical aspects of the radio. But let's just sum it up first. The IC-705, it's a compact QRP all mode all band, covers from 160 through 70 centimeters. It has a beautiful waterfall display, as you've seen in a lot of my videos that I've posted over the summer. It has a lot of features. So let's talk a little bit about how I've done my testing and how I've played with the radio. I've done a little bit of how to do FT8 from a phone on the radio, because that's one of the features this radio has that not a lot of other radios have. You can actually, through Wi-Fi, hook up a computer. You can hook up a phone or a tablet to the radio and do FT8 really, really simple. You can also remote control the radio, but remote controlling a 705 isn't really why people would use that really expensive app that I used. You use that for FT8. And out in the field, being able to do FT8 from your phone is such a huge plus. When you're doing a PODA, and let's say you're not doing the kind of PODA that I usually do drive-ins. I usually sit in my car and activate it, or at the most go, let's say 25 to 50 meters away from my car. Then you can bring a computer, you can bring whatever heavy equipment. But with this, you can bring the radio, a resonant antenna, and you can bring your phone, and you can do digimodes on days where band conditions isn't as good as they should be. And let me be clear, operating QRP has its challenges. You can almost always do a parks in the air activation on 100 watts, no matter how bad the band conditions are. But on QRP, it's going to be a struggle. So being able to use FT8 or similar modes, which are weak signal modes, is going to help you a whole lot when doing that. Then I've taken the radio out for countless PODAs. I've taken it out for SOTA.
2 side operators. Sierra Mike, Stroke Lima, Bravo 0, Fox India with 2 side operators calling CQ summits on the air. CQ summits on the air, CQ summits on the air. Sierra Mike, Stroke Lima, Bravo 0, Fox India with 2 side operators calling CQ summits on the air. QRZ.
And let's talk a little bit about the features that makes this a great portable radio. First of all, it's compact. Secondly, it's a QRP radio, so it's a small radio that doesn't need a lot of power. Then it has an internal battery, as you can see on the back here, which lets you operate 5 watts on the internal battery. If you want more than 5 watts, if you want the full 10 watts, you're going to need an external battery. But since this doesn't really require a lot of power, you can use just a small battery to power it. So it doesn't take up a whole lot of room, and it doesn't weigh a lot in a backpack. Secondly, it has this beautiful waterfall. It's like a compact 7300 actually. It has all the features of the 7300 except for the 100 watts, and then it has 2 meters and 70 meters. So it is more featured than the 7300 in some points. So I've enjoyed this radio, and I even said in a video that if I could only have one radio, it would be the 7300. And I'm really starting to like that 705. And if you've been in ham radio long enough, you probably heard the question, if you could only have one radio, what would it be? And I've always thought, well, one radio? You're not only having one radio, but if I had to have only one radio, I'm starting to think that that would be the 705, even though the 705 isn't mine. But yeah, it's that good. After a couple of activations and trying it a little bit at home, it's that good. If I could only have one radio, I'd probably sell the rest of my radios and buy the 705. And for sure, if I could only have one radio, it would be the 705, because it's all band, it's all mode, it has the beautiful waterfall, and it's easy to carry around. And should you need more power and this is your only radio, hook up an amplifier. And it also has 2 meters 70 centimeters, so you can use it on repeaters and all that kind of stuff. What's kind of limiting on that is it only has one antenna port. And there's one limitation as well we need to talk about, and that's the lack of an antenna tuner. I haven't really needed a tuner with this. I've brought resonant antennas that I've used on the activations I've done with it, and that's been plenty of good enough. But some people are going to miss an antenna tuner. But it has a killer QRP feature. It has voice keying, and it has 8 voice gear memories, which is exceptionally good for a QRP radio. So I babble a lot now about the radio, and I've probably talked way too long to keep your attention. But I want to sum it up from a user perspective. I haven't had time to dive into all the functionality of the radio. I've taken it out portable, and I've operated portable with it, and that's really why I got the radio, and that's my operating style. And for that, it's fantastic. It's a bit pricey though. Prices vary from market to market, but it is one of the more expensive QRP rigs you can get. And I guess that's what's stopping people. And I used to say about the 6100, the Sagu X6100, that was the right amount of radio for the money. And it is. But this little bad boy is also the right amount of radio for the money. It's just more featured, it's better built, it's more stable software-wise, and it simply just works. So if you're gonna have one radio, go for the 705. If you're like me that doesn't like to stay with one radio or one antenna, I like to experiment. It's not the radio for me. It's just too expensive for one of many radios for me. So I'm not going to keep it. And it's, as I said in the introduction, with a little bit of a heavy heart. But I love this little thing. And I'm just so happy that I've been able to test it. So the IC-705, with my use patterns, taking it out for POTUS and SOTUS, big thumbs up. Price-wise, a little bit, but it's still the right amount of radio for the money. Feature-wise, you can't beat it in the QRP segment. The only thing that it lacks, in my opinion, is an antenna tuner. And then it would be nice if it had 20 watts. If it had 20 watts, it for sure would be the right amount of radio for almost everyone. But it has 10 watts. So You have to decide yourself. I'm just a lone YouTuber babbling along about a really expensive Japanese QRP radio, but I love it. You got to decide yourself. I might get one at some point where the price is right, but not at the moment. Thank you to Christopher over at Christech for sending me this radio and letting me play with it for a little bit more than 2 months. It's been a great experience. And big thank you to everyone that watches my videos. That means a lot to me. And a big thank you to all of my channel members. That also means a lot to me. Running a YouTube channel like this actually costs a little bit of money. And I'm not at a point where I actually make any money because the expenses are outgrowing the income on the channel. So that is why I'm accepting a couple of sponsorships now. And just to be honest, none of these sponsorships involve any money. They are sponsored goods for review. But that helps me make a little bit of content, helps me tell you what products you should use or shouldn't use. And as I said in my channel update, I'm going to be really honest about every product. So the 705, great product. A couple of the other products I've tested, as you've seen, are not that great. But you can trust me, I'm going to be honest with you, even if a dealer or a manufacturer has sent me stuff. And I'm going to show you the bad items as well, so you can actually trust my reviews. And back to what I said about membership, I'm kind of on tangents all the way today, but the memberships also help run the channel. So if you can afford it, I really appreciate it. There are some options down below, and if you don't want to give it through YouTube, you can buy me a coffee. You can be a part of my Patreon, and there's not too many things you get for the membership, though. Think of it more of a tip jar. You get to see some of the videos before they drop for a general audience, but that's honestly all I have time for. I got a full-time job and a family in addition to this. So I'm going to cut it now because I've babbled way too long now. So click that thumbs up button, leave a comment down below. Think a little bit about if you want to become a channel member. Remember to watch the European Ham Radio Show. Thank you to Christech. And see you down the bands. See you in my next video. 7-3.